Well, it's becoming my new favorite expression. It's been a minute, huh, Mav? I didn't watch it again. I mean, it was so good. It was awesome. Let's start off with a tangent. There's a lot of, I won't specifically say what type of people they are, but there's a lot of people who are, I don't want to use the word anti-whining because it is whining, but they're making it like they're not whining. They're saying, oh, that Maverick was so good. It was not woke at all. It was like old school 80s movie men take over the world. You guys really don't know how woke is or what woke is. There were female pilots there. There was many people of very different ethnic groups in that movie. It didn't focus on two alpha males, and the woman, and this is the odd thing. I love 80s. I love the 1980s. I was, a teenager into my 20s in the 80s. And for me personally, I'm not saying they made the best movies ever, because I love movies from, I think, every decade, going back to one of my favorite movies of all time, The Wizard of Oz, 1939. So, Casablanca, fantastic movie. So I like movies like To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, I love movies across generations. But I did grow up in the 80s. So Breakfast Club and anything else John Hughes made. Fierce. But the one thing that was readily apparent, and it's different than movies from the 70s, because the movies from the 70s did not have strong, again, it is what it is, and people are going to find, oh, there was this one movie, but overall, what movies from the 70s were not a lot of strong female protagonists in 70s movies. And the way they corrected that in the 80s is to make the majority of the movies, to make the male protagonist have a quest to get the female. Simple as that. The female was the goal. It's Fast Times and Porky's. The female was the conquest. The female was the quest to get the end game. Even in the original Top Gun, the end game was specified. When they went to the bathroom together. Like, should we ready? Like, he saw her, he chose her, and he's going to go after her. Not to say Kelly McGillis was not fantastic, she was fantastic, but in the end, the 80s Top Gun movie was, in that aspect, alpha males with the conquest of getting the woman. And it wasn't like masculinity or the patriarchy, but overall, that's what it was. The woman was there to be conquered or won over, whereas the female protagonist in Top Gun 2, Maverick, was anything but a conquest. Even though she was mentioned in the first movie, the little aside, but she was in and of herself her own character. She wasn't there to be the ding at the end of the movie, like, you power up. Whatever. Jennifer Connelly, she was a fully fleshed out character in her own right. And she had some things to teach Maverick, which, so I liked Maverick 2 better in that way. Like, don't get me wrong, the original Top Gun is still in my top favorite movies of all time. It's a fantastic movie. I saw it in the theater a billion times. But the movie grew up in Top Gun 2. And again, the fact that, from my perspective, is, and it is not to compare it to the Barbie movie, which I really have really good thoughts about. It wasn't hitting you over the head with it. It wasn't hitting you over the head with its wokeness. It wasn't blatantly in your face woke. The whole movie was not about being woke, but the backdrop of the movie, it was a very woke movie. It really was. I found it to be very, very charming, and with all the action and special effects, and flying and shooting and blah blah blah. Because it was an action movie. Straight up, it wasn't supposed to be a woke movie, or hey, we should read right into the minutiae of this movie and figure out what's going on. But in the end, it was woke. And people who keep on saying, oh, that was just like the 80s. No, it was nothing like the 80s movies. It was nothing at all like the 80s movies, period. It wasn't focused at all times on the 2 alpha male characters, or 3, whatever the case may be. I love Maverick. I love the original movie. I love 80s movies because it was set in the 80s, and I lived through the 80s, and I went to 80s. So I'm not one of these people who say we should condemn all the stuff that came before because it wasn't what our generation expects. Well, not my generation, this latest generation expects from movies. Because that's absurd. The 80s movies were made in the 80s. Like, that's where they were made, and that's the culture they were catering to. That's the whole purpose of movies, is to cater to the generation that's going to pay money to go into the theater. And so I saw all those movies back in the day, and I loved them. And the only place we could see them was in the theater because we didn't have VCRs. Well, they started showing up in the early 80s, but you had to rent them because they were stupid expensive. That's a whole other story. I love Top Gun Maverick, but it was woke, even though it was nuanced woke that people didn't seem to pick up on, which is exactly what I think movies should do, unless your whole point, like the Barbie movie, which is the whole point of the Barbie movie, was to put it, quote unquote, in your face. I really loved the Barbie movie. It made me think. And again, I'm as woke as most should be, with equality and all that stuff. But again, I'm a white male cis guy. So I've gone through life not being objectified. Really, not me, because nobody paid attention to me ever, which is great. So I've never objectified. I was never considered hot or wanted or desired in a purely physical manner, which is, again, so, but also I've never had fear on dates. I've never had fear walking down the street at night. I've never had any of this stuff that when she came into the real world, she immediately felt it. Now, again, people say, oh, that's not what really happens. You have no idea. You non-female 20-something walking through a neighborhood for the first time that you have no idea about. I know friends. I have a lot of female friends who back in the day, not now because we're all older now, but back in the day, they would walk from wherever they are to the car if it's after 9 o'clock at night with the keys in their hand, with the keys sticking out between their fingers. My friends did that because they were concerned for their safety. I never had to, I Captain Oblivious. I could walk through downtown Hamilton at 2 o'clock in the morning and not give a rat's patootie about what's going on around me because I'm oblivious. Not that I can take everything. Like, something happened to me, something's going to happen to me, but I never had to worry about it all the time. It was never on my radar. It was never in my conscious, my psyche, to worry about stuff because I never had to. I grew up in a small town where everybody took care of one another and blah, blah, and I'm a guy, a white guy. I was never worried about getting shot, mugged, beat up, whatever. I've been in 2 fights my entire life, and those were back in grade school with the school bully. So I never had to worry about it. The closest I've ever came to confrontational stuff since then is the neighbors next door. And again, I did no confrontations, and it was a conscious choice. It wasn't me being chicken or whatever. But not to go off on this tangent. It was a conscious choice because I knew the end game. I had in my head what the end game was going to be, and that was to get rid of them, to get the justice, the mechanisms, the machinations of our society that already have it in place, and all the laws and the policing and the society, the good society, where you have your responsibility to the society you live in, the people around you, that I knew if we walked the correct Dave line, they'd be gone. And after 8 years, they're gone. So once again, vindicated by my understanding of how the world works, how people work, how the system works. And again, I'm not in on the in and reading up the minutiae of every single law and jot and tittle that's in the law books, but I have a concept of proper etiquette and protocol droid, proper etiquette and proper ways of dealing with situations that do not exacerbate via my actions to make the situation worse. They made the situation worse than their own. But again, every time they made the situation worse and made it easier. I've said this a million times to keep on going on this tangent through this entire ordeal. Had they, those guys next door, had they once, even a smidgen, had they once demonstrated, even if it was fake, even 100% fake, they were just smoke and mirrors, had they once conveyed or demonstrated or people saw any remotely small reconciliation, any remotely small regret, and they could fake it. Like, we can't fake that. Who can't fake sincerity for a minute? if they had any shred of intelligence, proper intelligence, any shred of proper societal values and responsibilities, but again, they didn't have any, but they could have faked it for a minute in front of the judge. And the judge would say, "Oh, these are nice people." maybe we're being too hard on them. But no, not even in front of the cops, not even in front of the judge, the arbitrator. They could not one little minute, demonstrate any kind of reconciliation or any kind of sorrow or sadness or appreciation of their responsibilities to society around them. And this is where I have my huge moral foundation of my life, is that I will not, no matter any circumstances, I will not abdicate, love that word, abdicate my responsibility to the society I live in and the people around me. Usually I say it the other way around. I will not abdicate my responsibility to the people around me and the society I live in, which means I'm not going to roll down my window and throw garbage out the window. I won't do it, although I get a lot of TikTok videos and whatever, people throwing trash out the window and getting caught by the cops. or throw eggs at somebody's house, even though I dislike them so much. It never even dawned on me growing up, even though I grew up in the 70s and 80s where people got their houses toilet papered and stuff like that on Devil's Night. It never dawned on me that I would or wanted to or could do that. I had ingrained in me by my wonderful parents at the earliest ages, not to be a malcontent, not to be a ne'er-do-well, which is, I still use those words all the time, and it drives other people nuts, because I do say, hey, look at that malcontent, look at that ne'er-do-well, and people thinking I'm growing up in the 1800s with Michael Landon, House on the Prairie. Me and Laura Ingalls Wilder are hanging out. Look at that malcontent, and ne'er-do-well. But I am 56 now, and it's absolutely ingrained into my psyche. And again, I will not be all holier than thou and say everybody else has to be like me, because again, I talked about this before, my libertarian views, my personal libertarian views of your personal life, you do you. You absolutely go do you. I'm going to do me over here. I got rid of the neighbors. I mean, straight up I did. It was a whole community event or a community aid, but I'm not saying I led the charge, but I sat down with people and said, if we want them gone, we cannot retaliate in the way you want to retaliate, because that's not just going to just exacerbate the situation, because they're going to return, as another euphemism, elderly euphemism, tit for tat. They're going to return in kind. They did anyway. They returned every time we tried to de-escalate. They escalated. But if you attack them, then everything's off the rails. But then we could not stand. Had anybody reacted in a completely mirror image of how they were treating us, we could not stand before a judge and say, we are without fault here. The entire impetus is on them because they're malcontents and they're not. But they can say, oh, look what you guys said to us, and oh, you toilet papered our house, or you threw crap in our driveway, or you called us a bad name on Tuesday, October 12th, 2008. They could have said that. And then if we are truthful, yes, we did say that. So if we don't say that, it can't be brought up as truthful from them. And so even the arbitrator said the same thing. We had that whole litany, again, the second thing, we had that whole litany of incidents over 8 years. And the entire incident report was them attacking us. Now, again, we all want to be the hero of our own stories. We love being the hero, especially me. When you tell a story about, oh, this is what happened, and if you did something a little bit gray area, you usually forget that part of the story, or you embellish it so it's not as gray. And so we all want to be the heroes of our own story, and I fully appreciate it because I like telling stories. My friends know, just like I'm doing right here. I love telling stories. But in this context, when the police are involved, and the laws involved, and lawyers are involved, and the judges are involved, and the courtrooms, we're in the courtrooms, and we're in the arbitrations, and we're in the mediations, you have to make sure all your ducks are in a row. See, here's another one. I love my euphemisms. You have to make sure all your ducks are in a row, that you are without blemish as much as possible, so they cannot throw crap. They cannot throw crap on you in front of somebody who's going to make decisions on the behalf of the two parties. They have to find you sinless, as they could say. And so that's that whole topic about wokeness went right into this. And so I kind of, in the bridging is, I like to think, I wouldn't have used the term woke back in the 70s and 80s, but I appreciate it because I had a kid sister, and I was with her when she was growing up, and she could not do the same things I was able to do at the same age because there was concerns for her safety, even in a small town like ours. I could walk down to the park. We lived a couple feet from the park where the Peach Festival is, and I could go down there. Yeah, I'm gonna go play in the swings at 10 o'clock at dusk at night by myself. See mom, see that, out the door. At the same age, my sister would never, ever, ever, ever be able to do that. And that was basically one of the points of the Barbie movie, if you watch it. And it was 100% feminist. It wasn't anti, like, masculinity, even though Ken, but we can talk about that in a bit. I'm not going to. I want to go talk about what I got. But it was to point out, and as much as not smashing you, punching you in the nose, but with a story that was as clear as possibly could be, the issues, the concerns, the environment that women are subjected to on a daily basis. And I didn't watch the Golden Globes. I did not watch the Golden Globes at all because I'm too busy with everything else, and TV is becoming, Sandy and I are just watching our specific shows and that's it. But I saw some clips and I heard all about it. That was the whole point of the Barbie movie, and to point out that this is the 21st century and we have to get past the booby jokes. Like, it's not that the booby joke, a booby joke itself is bad and dirty and naughty and we shouldn't do it. That wasn't the issue. It was the comparison of demeaning and degrading other, and in this case, women, which has been going on for literally millennia, to keep the women down. And I am 100% anti that. I've always been a feminist, if you want to use that word as it. I've always been a person who really wants equality for literally everybody. Not equality that we all should have the same amount of money, should all have the same amount of stuff, but we should all start at the starting line together. We should all have access to the same stuff, the same resources that we should be able. But you know, the finish line is completely different. That's you getting to the finish line yourself. But if somebody, like, again, I'm at 13, I get to go to the park and play on the swings at dusk. My sister at 13 is not going to go to the park to play on the swings at dusk because she can't, because there's concern. Not that we believe that anything would happen to her, but something could happen to her that wouldn't happen to me. And that is just, that's the society thing. Right? And so society has to be dragged kicking and screaming into wokeness, into equalness, into the ability that women should not fear for their health and safety when they're in specific situations that men would not have no fear for. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that after 18 minutes. Hi, I'm back. It was a busy time since Christmas. Work, family, everything else. Things are somewhat settled down at Chez Cooties. I think I mentioned this, I can't know, it's been a long time. My mother-in-law passed away, which is very, very sad for us, Sandy's mom. She lived with us she lived with Sandy, but when Sandy and I were together, she moved in with us. So she's been with me. My mother-in-law has been in the house, in our house for 20 years, 18 years. And she was a lovely, lovely, lovely person. And I still have every once in a while, I will still have moments of, I'm never seeing her again, which makes me sad. And so that's something. Work has been crazy busy since we got back this year in 2024. We've done some house stuff. not major house stuff, just some fixings here and cleaning up there and downsizing wherever else. So saying I have fun with that. And then we got to hang out with friends a lot over the Christmas holidays, which was fantastic. After the COVID went away and after things quieted down, I took a few days off work to do the paperwork for Mom's passing, which is an eye-opening experience. And we're still not fully done yet. We still haven't got all the government forms and all that stuff, but we're still working that out. So I'm becoming like, and again, when my mom passed away 11 years ago, there wasn't as much to do. So this is, and it's not burdensome at all. It's actually, it is what it is like we'd like to say. It has to be done, and it's on par with just doing your taxes, and on par with sitting in lines at these Canadian thing, and the Ontario thing, the Service Canada and Service Ontario. So you got health cards, and you got SIN cards, and you got pensions, and you got all this other stuff that we have to reconcile because she has passed. And everybody has been very, very helpful. So again, people complain about government agencies. I've visited a bunch in the past month and a half, or last month, yeah. And every single person I've had dealings with has been extremely helpful and extremely sympathetic and extremely appreciative that my mom-in-law passed, and I really appreciate her. So I have no bad words at all right now for our government agencies. People always complain, and people will always complain. It's not just a Karen thing. People are always complaining about government and bureaucracy and blah, blah, blah. And how slow it moves, and that's truly, my dad always told me, don't fight City Hall, and bureaucracy moves very, very slow. It is what it is. At the $40 million people country, and there's a lot going on. So I have no bad words at all. I actually have very, very good words, very, very appreciative words for our government agencies right now. You know, we have our shaking our fists at various political people, but in the end, political people are there. The government is there, and I separate the two overall. But anyway, so that's enough about that. But I was looking at lots through the entire month. Lots on Marketplace. Live being went on Kijiji for a little bit. Didn't see anything really good there. Went on eBay a few times, but mostly Marketplace. And I found a few really good lots I was very, very tempted to get. But my issue was that it also came down to driving. One was out in Fort Erie, which was really nice. It was basically old gray rails with the dark gray cross pieces and a couple old switches and a 4.5 volt motor box and stuff like that. And lots of track. But it's Fort Erie. So as I was talking to the person who was selling it, I was like, I really want to come out there, but we're really busy. It's Christmas and blah, blah, blah. But if you find a seller or a buyer that wants it before we get the logistics worked out, go ahead. So I was getting towards the weekend. At one point I said, oh, we're gonna have a free weekend, because every weekend was busy between Christmas and New Year's Eve and before and after. Wait, maybe we can go drive out to Fort Erie. That sounds like a great idea. And then I text the guy, sold. That's perfect. Perfect. I don't have to drive out to Fort Erie. There was a few others that have some really classic space parts. But again, it was like Cambridge, which had I business trip out there, it'd be fantastic, but I didn't. Thornhill was the last one I saw. It's on there right now. It has the from what I could see, a lot of parts for the not the Deep Freeze Defender, the Ice Planet base, because it has the transient orange dome, quarter dome, as well as other pieces. And I go, ooh, but it's Thornhill. Thornhill. It's the other side of Toronto. It's like, I don't want to drive out to Thornhill. So I was texting the person and saying, oh, you know, this is a great lot. It's a great price. It's a box. But you're in Thornhill. Can we do anything about that? Do you have anybody coming out anywhere, like Mississauga, because I work in Oakville? Oh, no, you have to drive all the way to Thornhill. Well, If it sells, it sells. I'll see if I have a trip going out there in the next couple of weeks. So basically the same thing. Because again, how much more do I need versus what I want, which is this. So there were some really, really cool lots that I saw. There was even some original classic space lots that and then they were gone the second I texted the person. There was one where I texted the person in the morning. I woke up in bed, phone, whatever. It's a nice lot. Is this still available? And then I went to work, and I checked my phone through the work, and I got no reply. He replied to me on the way home, saying it's still available. I take 30 minutes to drive home, and then I get home and I text him, I'll come out and get it. He says it's sold. Dude, I texted you at 7:30 this morning. Like, first comfort. Anyway, I get it. The 30 minutes of me not getting back to him when he says it's available. He said, yeah, some guy just texted me. And I said, dude, I texted you first thing this morning, and I could have come to from my office. It's easier to get to. Whatever. So it had some really good classic space parts in it. C'est la vie, like, I need some. It is whining. So anyway, I got this one down the street from where I work, so I picked it up today. And they threw in a bag of basic brick. So, and this is, I've actually had dealings with this person before, and they say, and I believe them, that proceeds from their sales go to Make-A-Wish. Now, I don't know what this card says because I don't. Oh, thank you for your support and generosity. You are helping to make a child's wish come true. And my wish come true. Here's a few extra bricks for you. So she threw this in. So this is what I bought. This is what she threw in. And again, do I need more basic brick? But these are original basic brick, thick wall basic brick. My favorite basic bricks of all time. And ejection mold on the side. Yay! 1970s. This is my life. and a happy face. That's a happy face. So I was very, and again, roof slopes, which, you know, I keep on meaning. I saw a picture years ago, pre-internet, like years ago, like 1980s years ago, where somebody built a chalet, a ski chalet that was about 6 feet long out of, basic brick, and it was just gorgeous. So I keep on, and I know I'm getting to the point where I have enough pieces to do that, but I keep on meaning to do that. Now it's a basic build using basic bricks and basic slopes and basic windows, because that's what they only had in the 70s and 80s. But it was beautiful, and I remember it, and I keep on thinking, sooner or later, I'm gonna build a building like that. And this goes off in a really obscure tangent. My friend Jeff and Derek were right into it, and I just didn't have the emotional fortitude and wherewithal to be in on it. But there was a thing called Lego Universe, and the Lego Universe contacted the Lugs before they went live, and they asked the Lugs to support or help build the virtual universe that Lego Universe took place in. And Jeff and Derek were right in there, and I was. And Deborah was in it, and a whole bunch of other people that I won't remember were helping all over the world to build Lego Universe. Unfortunately, the whole thing failed, but that's not the point of this story, because I did play it for a second. But I built a mini chalet for it, because we were the Canadian, so ours was going to be a winter type zone. And if I remember correctly, and Jeff will correct me if I'm wrong, Lego Universe, the programmers did not consider with your fig in Universe to have attachments on the feet, and we wanted to have skis and snowshoes because we're making winter stuff. So I think they adapted the code to have mounting or clicking points on the feet, and I think that was because of us Canadians. I could be wrong, but anyway, here's the box. Yay! It is a Samsonite box. If I remember correctly. Are these Samsonite? Maybe it says on the inside. Lego Interlego Systems, Enfield, Connecticut. Ooh, this is the Enfield, Connecticut one, not the Stratford one. Bom, bom. I don't know if Stratford ever came up with these things. I don't know. I know I had a whole bunch of them when I was a kid, and I keep on getting them, and I keep on donating them or selling them at flea markets and stuff. But this one I think I might have to wash it. But I'm gonna dump it out here. This is one thing this is why I never kept these boxes, by the way. I never liked these boxes. Because it's hard to get the last pieces out. It always was hard to get the last pieces out. So we had growing up, Brian, David, and Terry, me and my brother, we had a cardboard box that you just dump on top of the pool table. And nothing got stuck inside the cardboard box. Whereas every one of these boxes, you're fishing for pieces. I always found that to be annoying. Like literally, I've always found it to be annoying. So I never, ever stored my pieces in these boxes. It's like one of those expressions, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Neighbors. Yeah, see, there's still pieces in there. Anyway, more pieces. And more pieces. And is that it? No, here one. Where is it? There it is. Ha ha! A 1x1 yellow piece. Ooh, I always wanted one of these. Oh wait. Oh. Anywho, I got this specifically because you might have already seen it. That's not it. Not specifically about that, but look how mint that is. and we all know who this guy is because I'm gonna rebuild him, I would imagine. That's why I got this. That's it. This piece is the only reason I bought this entire lot. I've done stupider things in my life. I mean, there's castle pieces in here, a few castle pieces. I don't think there's anything fully complete in here because I don't see any trans yellow at all. But of course, the intruder, the invader. So that's what I thought was in here. But look, yay! I love this. This is, if I mentioned it before, it's one of my favorite pieces. We got some wing plates. Never have enough of those. Here he is. There we go. Blacktron guy. So I don't see any trans yellow. So not that I'm worried. Oh, non-Lego, and that goes right there, right into my Tyco trash bin. My trash bin is Tyco, Octan, another good minifig, some space tools. Ooh, space! I didn't expect that. We talked about that the other day. Did I finish building that? Did I build that? This is how flaky my memory is right now because it was just a bit of a blur over the last bunch of weeks. I was going to build it. Oh, I did. See, we talked about this, my last video. See, you probably remember this more than I do because everything's been a whatever. Again, I'm going to say on any good given day, I'm pretty adult-minded. But in this past, since November, it's been, but anyway, I did build one. So, put that back up there. So there's that. I was running low on these guys, 2x2 round bricks. A whole bunch of, and here we got one of these guys, which is not the big 6985, but I'm sure it's something. This stuff and this stuff, landing gear and L brackets and more landing gear. And I saw another Space Police. So the Space Police, Blacktron, and original classic space, probably for the invader or the intruder. I'm looking for the, I don't think I'm going to find them. It doesn't look like there's any trans pieces in here at all, so I don't think I'm going to have the trans red wing plate. No, I don't see any trans red, because there'd be 4 of them, and I would have seen one by now. So they had, quote-unquote, removed, I would imagine, all the trans pieces, because they don't. So, and again, I don't know where she got this lot. I will say this. I talked to her a little bit and texted her a little bit. She seems to acquire lots. and then she puts them up on the marketplace. She usually has, and I mentioned this before because this is go way back in a whole bunch of videos when I had those 12 boxes, those 12 white boxes, and I built the 6985, and I built a few other things. She seems to acquire lots, and then she washes them. I'm gonna have to wash them again, but she washes them. She says these are relatively clean. Overall, I've seen some things that make me want to wash it again, but overall, these are very, very clean. They're very, very good condition. Like, you know, I'm looking at this stuff and no scratches and stuff, and the gold is still gold. I can't complain about that, right? So the lack of see, this is why I am me. This piece makes me zoom in. It's a 1x1x2 window, which I don't know when they discontinued them. I don't think they brought them into the 80s. I don't think they brought them much past the late 70s. I love this window. I really do, because again, it's quote unquote rare. But I used these a lot when I was a kid because they look cooler than the regular 1x2x2 windows, the 1x2x4 windows, or 1x4x2 windows, and the 1x6x3 windows. But I love that window. That is not Lego. I recognize that. That's not Lego. So that's 2 pieces, but the rest of it, I mean, I'm going to find probably a piece here and there. But I'm thinking most of the rest of those things, does it? Yeah. So I got that. I'm thinking maybe the Robo Force robot, whatever, this virus robot. Oh, here's another guy. This is probably for the castle walls. 3 minifigs, which I'm shocked that I got 3 minifigs of those. Yeah. So this is the lot that I got. And again, old gray. And I will never, ever, ever, literally ever complain about getting a set with old gray in it, which is why I was a little bit miffed I missed out on a train lot out in Fort Erie, because I had the old 6x24 maybe, or 6x16 flatbeds for the train cars, because it was old gray rails. Light gray. Yeah, so lots of landing gear. I'm noticing that. Lots and lots of landing gear, which is fantastic because I was running out. And lots of these things, because again, I ran out of these things. I mentioned that. I did run out of those things. But again, the archway from probably the Pirates and or Castle. The robot guy with his hands. So this is a wide variety of pieces. And again, lots of basic pieces, which again is understandable. And it is, oh, see, there it is, another one. A 1x1 instead of 1x2. 1x1x1. Love these windows. And knowing that I have lots of those windows, by the way, I keep on thinking I'm going to build the Constitution, if I remember as a set. I wouldn't remember the set number at all. But I think I'm going to try to attempt to build that out of the collection that I have behind me. With the original windows. Because I think that'd be fun. Although I don't know if the Constitution came with red windows or yellow windows. I don't know. I never had one, so and I didn't buy the remake either when they just used the headlight bricks, which I think a bit of a cop out there. Lego, it killed you to go to Samsonite and get the old molds back. like seriously, like that is not the same. It is. This is a headlight brick, not a. Oh, who's texting me? So anywho, I am pleased. I am pleased with this lot. I am pleased that I am getting. I hope I have some other sides. Yeah. So I don't. And these are not faded or yellowed at all. Again, it's the same with the pieces I got from her last time for the 6985 and the rest of the lots that you remember. I reconstituted a whole bunch of lots from those 12 boxes, and I still have parts and pieces left over. That was one of my favorite lots, and I got lots of favorite lots, but that was one of them. I really enjoyed that lot. Now, I paid substantially less for this one because it's 1 box instead of 12 boxes. Tail, fantastic, because, you know, I ran out of these. So, and again, I mentioned in the other video that I used to, I remember this. I used to get, I'm upset because I don't have any parts that I need right now to reconstitute whatever I'm making, like years ago. But then I would, and I said this, what would normally happen is I'd be reconstituting a set, and I didn't call it reconstituting. That's my new term from last year that I'm going to keep on with this year, because I'm going to reconstitute some sets here. But when I was rebuilding sets that I got in used lots, and I come across a part that I did not have to rebuild a set, and not like a Galaxy Explorer, but something a little more obscure and that has more rare parts, and I'd be rebuilding it, and I go, oh, I ran out of parts, like I ran out of these things or whatever. And I go, ooh, maybe I should bricklink them. Bite my teeth, bite my nails. Bite my teeth. Bite my nails. I learned very, just a bunch of years back that there was absolutely no sense in me getting upset that I don't have a piece yet to reconstitute a set that I'm trying to reconstitute, because 9 times out of 10, the very next lot that I bought had that part, which is uncanny, and I've talked about that. And again, it could be just, confirmation bias and blah blah blah. But it just seems to be very odd. Like, again, I pointed out, I ran out of these because I reconstituted all those 924s and 928s and blah blah, and I ran out of these. I didn't have any more. I got a ton of blue, but I didn't have any more gray. Look, I got a gray one today. I got a gray one today. And people say, well, Dave, that's because you collect classic space lots. Yes, it is. But again, when I bought this lot, I saw the basic pieces and I saw this guy. I said, I didn't see any classic space pieces at all in the lot, because basically she just opened the box and took a picture from the top of the box. And so I went into this knowing there was Blacktron in the lot, and knowing that there was, I think I saw like a castle panel, so, and a lot of basic pieces. And I said, that's worthy. It's 3 blocks from where I work. I'm going to drive over. And yet when I dump it out now, I'm going, this is definitely a worthy lot. Just even if I don't reconstitute anything in this lot. When I'm doing my sorting, I realized I was down pretty low on a whole bunch of pieces. And again, there's so many 2x2 round 2, and there's like landing pads 3 and like cap. So landing pad and cap and 4. And like I had run out of, did I run out of landing pads? I can't remember. 6. So another cool piece from Classic Space. Yay! So and so I cannot, and I will not. So 7. Gray guns I was running low on. There you go. Got it. The Santa Fe's. More Octane. I've never built an Octane set in my life. I've never built one. And yet, I look at my lot, my collection here. I got lots of Octane parts because, again, buying used lots. What I was hoping for, but I already bought them off of Bricklink, was a 2x9. Oh, look, inverted, printed 2x2 white. Fantastic. I honestly can't remember what set they came in, but I know it's Classic Space. I know it's Classic Space. This little guy, so I might try to figure out what he's from. Anyway, that's my antennas, because I was running low on antennas. So just around parts alone. Worth the trip to Acton, as they say, as the old commercial. I didn't drive to Acton, but it's worth the drive to Acton, as the old commercial would say. So in the end, I will not at all complain about this set and this lot. Oh, there's another one. As I'm looking around, I'm looking for anything that's remotely Classic Space cool, because there's a lot of Classic Space coolness here. Oh, there's 2 of these. So I might have 2. Those 2 in that little Rover thing with the big knobby tires on it, and it had I think those are blue on the back, not gray. I can't remember now. I don't think I had these ones. I think they were blue on that guy, and they had the 2 jet packs. And they're black and white, or is black and yellow? I can't remember the 2 minifigs that came in that one. If I remember correctly, a black minifig came in that one, and I can't remember the other one. Maybe it may have been white. Excuse me. So I have, so there's 2 of those. So I got 2 of these.